All right, welcome back to Council of the North, episode 38. That's my best Will impression. Will is unfortunately not here with us today. He had some stuff going on. Tonight, as always, I'm Andrew. Greetings. I'm here with Zach.
Cheers.
And a very special guest from the OSBGL, Chris Weens.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome, Chris Weens. Of course, he's been to many events in the OSBGL, an excellent hobbyist, and we are happy to have him on to talk about the most recent tournament, the March Muster, that just went on this past weekend in Oshawa, or Coburg, right? Specifically?
Curtis.
Curtis,
yeah.
Curtis.
Just
Curtis.
Coburg.
However you say it.
Well,
not even
Oh,
close.
the east side of I'm a west side guy, you know. I live in the GTA, the GHA. That's my zone. Anything east of Toronto is like. Does that even? What is that? That's basically America to me.
Oh,
Brutal,
get
huh?
me fired up here, but
Oh, there'll be some fighting words in the comments over that for you Canadian listeners. So today we're going to get right into it. Today's a tournament review. I didn't make it because I'm a bad league attendee. You can all call me out. I didn't go. I maybe could have gone. It would have been pushing it, but I didn't go. But Zach and Chris were there, and we're going to hear about their games.
you did get called out at the event from multiple people.
I got called out before the event. I got called out during the event, and I suspect I'm going to be called out after the event as well. I am. Right now, you're calling me out. So
yeah, it's like 30 minutes from where you live, and you're like acting like it's
it is
much
not
further.
30 minutes. It is not 30 minutes. Not even close. I can't even get to Toronto in 30 minutes.
Yeah, and it's another 30 outside of Toronto.
Let's move on. We're going to go to our, shame points.
Okay. Charts back on the board. It's been missing for a few weeks with me being MIA, so putting it back up here. Just do a quick rundown. I'm currently sitting on 9 shame points. So one more missed week, and I am back to playing another person's list.
And it's going to be nasty. You know it's going to be bad, right?
Yes, we've been nice for too long now. It's going to be a lot more ruthless. So I got some work done. I actually did. It's very productive. I'll get into the one model I painted up. I did a Ministerial Warrior with just Sword and Shield. We'll get into why that was painted a little bit later. But I also painted up 2 objectives. 2 objective tokens that look a lot similar to Chris, the ones he painted up the other day.
They sure do.
So now I have 4 objective tokens painted, and I think I just need to paint 2 more, and that could cover an entire game.
Well, and I will say, I think one of the big things that people don't bring to events is objective markers, right? A lot of the times people say, oh, you have objective markers? You know, and you forget. And like half or more than half the scenarios use objective markers, or even just to mark the middle of the board with one. So paint your objective markers. I'm saying it early. Paint your objective markers. Paint something. It's a fun way to add a little hobby aspect to your army.
I've been bringing just basic bases because they describe an objective as a 25 mil base. So I have the 2 that I previously had painted, and then I just have a couple extra spare ones lying around for use if need be.
So you avoided a shame point.
I avoided a shame point. Andrew, did you avoid a shame point?
I posted right after last episode. I was so pumped. Send out those werewolves. I was an eager beaver. I posted 2 werewolves, and I will say, not to toot my own horn, but every time this happens, it's basically the best feeling in my entire life. Articon posts the post to their story, and every time, like, nothing else really matters in my entire life right now, right? Like, this is just the best feeling ever. And shout out to the Articon Instagram page, whoever runs that. It's really, really cool to see them posting all this Lord of the Rings stuff. They even do stuff other than models. Follow Articon on Instagram. How about that? They're really good if you like MESBG. So yes, I painted. I got validation for it. It made me feel good about myself.
Yes, shocking. Andrew avoids another week. Will did not get anything painted. But as Shane Point Commissioner, I am giving him a pass this week. He is not going to get a point. He did spend 3 days in a hospital and then made it out to the Saturday tournament.
Yeah, we couldn't get rid of him that easy.
Andrew can't even go to an event. This guy spent half his week dying in a hospital and then was like, I'm still going to the tournament. He's going to get a pass this week. We're being nice for once.
I would like to say I was like the person who went to the second or third most events last year. So I don't need to hear any of this. You didn't make it out to an event, okay? I don't need to deal with this.
Then we got Chris. I know the answer to this, but I will ask it anyways. Chris, did you paint last week as he's currently painting?
Yeah, I just painted a little model.
Oh, is that all?
Today, yeah, that's about it. That and if we count what I did during the last live stream, I've got second one here too. So, 2
big boys.
Not bad.
Painting 2 big ones, huh?
Yeah. Working away at the backlog.
Very nice.
I gotta say, I saw the post you put earlier of the Troll Brute, and I think that's one of the best models I think you've painted.
Thank you.
I thought it looked really fantastic.
It's a nice one. There's a lot of different textures in it, lots of dimensions. You got the troll itself and the big balls and chains and the rider on top. It's a nice variety in one model. But right now, I'm just working on some Woses.
Woses, huh?
Yeah, they've been staring at me for a while from the painting desk, so I'm finally putting a little more color on.
They are cool models.
Mm-hmm.
The old Druidan.
Yeah.
I think too, we should shout out Chris. He has supplied 1.5 of the Shane Point list so far. Will's Goblin Town list that he used was fully done by Chris. And the Hobbit Force I used, the Hobbit army was done by Chris, but the heroes were done by Josh, or was it the other way around?
Other way around. No.
Other way around.
No. I think it was the other way around, yeah. I think I brought the hero. Except for
Chris's
Gandalf,
heroes, Josh's warriors. So potentially, maybe we'll get a Woses Shane Point list coming up. I think that could be a good Shane Point list.
There's 15 of them here in Gonbury Gone, so they'll be all set.
Oh, warband.
Perfect to keep in our back pocket. So Shane Point list, we're all good through the week. I wasn't really worried for Chris. All of our guests so far, except for Maddie, have been nailing it on the painting.
Maddie Lockwood. We'll have to have him back on so he can redeem himself as the only guest who hasn't painted.
And I'm sure he'll go as the only guest who hasn't painted twice.
Brutal. Scathing review.
But also, just quickly carrying on with the hobby challenge, Chris is actually doing quite well in his hobby challenge as well.
Yeah, I'm right up there now. So as of this event, my goal coming in was to win my first game, because that'd be 2 wins in a row. So I got that. And then I realized I killed 6 heroes in that match, but I was informed that doesn't count in the same match. So 2 matches later, I played against Preston with his assault on Ravenhill and killed 6 of his 7 heroes.
Jeez.
So I need to paint a full warband, which is sitting in front of me, and build another display board, and then I'm flying like an eagle.
Very nice.
So he's absolutely killing it. We're having lots of locals participating. It's great to see. But I got 2 shout-outs so far for this episode, and the first one is going to be a person we follow with on our Instagram and follows us, Ganglery_painting. He's in the UK, and he is participating. I was just super stoked to find out a non-local was participating in the challenge. It was like super fun for me to see. So anyone else there, not locally, internationally participating, I'd love to see it. If you are or not, you should start. It's just really cool, super fun. And yeah. So just shout out him. Also, you could go follow his stuff on Instagram too if you want. It is pretty good painting.
That's right. And your second shout out?
The second shout out goes to Josh Aaron as well. He had a little gift for us. Andrew has it. You haven't seen it yet?
I haven't seen it.
He got something for each of us.
Wow, look at that.
It's a coaster. It's a slate coaster with our symbol on it.
Oh, Josh, that's super nice.
Well, it's like unbelievable. They're like really good. I'm using it right. One of mine currently right now. I am in use. So shout out to Josh for an awesome, thoughtful gift. We really appreciate
Josh,
it.
That's actually way too nice. I feel like I can't accept that actually,
like,
but I will.
Way too nice,
and I will use it. Actually, since we're talking about coasters, I actually have been using this one coaster on my desk. This SBG magazine poster we got at Articon. It was a random raffle that I won. If you haven't seen what SBG magazine is, it's
actually pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. They did this big display board. The dwarves going through Goblin Town. Anyway, Tom and Damien from the GBHL do SBG magazine. It's a magazine you can donate some money to them, and they'll send you a magazine. Anyway, but now I've used this for a long time, and I'm going to replace it with that sweet Council of the North coaster that Josh gave us. Thank you very much, Josh. It's very kind of you.
I got yours, so I'll give it to you next time I see you.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you.
That looked pretty awesome. And that covers up the shame point section, which was a lot less shame and more just shout outs.
A lot of gratitude actually in that shame section.
Yeah.
Will
lots to be gratitude for. Grateful for, I guess.
To be gratitude for.
And look at this guy still powering through, just like painting away.
Crushing it.
He was telling me yesterday that he's painted like 150 models this year.
Oh, not
already?
Quite. I'm at 131 as of today at the trophy.
Dude, I'm lucky to get 100 in a year.
Yeah. I do, like I play Old World too, so a lot of those are dwarves for that, but it's a mix of Old World and Middle Earth.
Still impressive.
Two excellent systems.
We're only
you'll need a bunch of models. Yeah. You've painted on as much already as like we paint in a year.
I mean, that's like my last. I didn't make 200 in my last 2 years combined.
Yeah, I did 2 years ago. I did 365, and so last year I wanted to beat that, and I hit 405, and so this year I'm hoping to beat that score, and we'll see how high I get.
That's insane. No excuses, folks. Paint your models.
The word for it.
Yeah, use this as inspiration.
No. I have a lot of spare time in the summers and on holidays, and I use it.
Use it efficiently. You don't waste it. Sounds like.
I try.
Well, let's move on to our quiz section, and we won't be answering this week, though I think Chris, you may have already answered on Spotify. Yeah. But the quiz question this week for Are You Smart, Are You Zach? Brought to you by Mr. David Clubley of the GBHL. Name an evil model with the Burley rule. And we sort of changed it to name as many evil models as you can with the Burley rule. That is the quiz question for this week. There's more than you think. But usually we only think of the good ones, right? There's easy ones, Khazad-Guard. Most people wouldn't know, but I always talk about Helm on this channel, so people probably know that Helm has Burley.
Hearthguard.
Yeah, Khazad-Guard. Okay, technically you're right. Technically I'm wrong.
Not technically. I am right.
It is technically.
Hearthguard get Burley. Khazad-Guards do not.
Okay, whatever. Anyway, leave your question below. Comment, YouTube, Spotify, Instagram even. I'll check it. I'll throw it in there. Just leave a comment. And while you're at it, leave a like. Hit the subscribe button. It's a great free way to support our channel. It doesn't cost you anything. And you'll even sometimes be notified if we post a video if you want or not. But consider hitting that subscribe button. Anything else for that? I think we're good.
No, I think you nailed it.
Nice, nailed it. All right, let's move on. That was our quiz segment. Are you smart, are you Zach? We're going to move on for the main topic, which is a tournament review, Middle-earth Strategy Battle Game tournament review this weekend in Curtis/Oshawa. Zach, why don't you tell us what you brought? And how many points it
tournament was the March Muster, ran by friend of the show, Jonathan Young, guest of the show.
He's been on, yep.
First tournament he's ran, 650 points. Very well done. Good venue. Tables, as always, were really great, brought in by various people. Good showing. Actually, 20 people were there, I think.
2, I want to say.
22. Good number. 20 plus, we'll say.
Solid.
Not in even numbers well, so there was no buys, which is always good for everybody there. You don't have to worry about that. I made it.
Believable.
It was close.
What was your journey like?
My journey? Wake up probably around like 6 o'clock in the afternoon, evening, the day before. Not think I'm going to make it back in time, and then get called to go to work at 10 o'clock at night. Work all through the night, get off work, drive directly home, have a shower, hop right back in my car and drive to the tournament. So, people that say I can't commit, I committed.
Oh, that's dedication.
I did what I could. I made it. And well worth it. Well, good decision on my part.
An unbelievable development here on Council North. Zach committed to something and made it happen. I almost can't believe my ears.
It was looking rough for a stretch. I didn't think it was gonna work out, but things fell apart, and then it fell apart, and then it actually worked out in my favor. So sometimes good things happen.
Sometimes good things happen to bad people.
I brought 650 points worth of Battle of Fornost.
Ooh.
First warband was led by Aenor on horse, obviously, because why would you ever not bring him mounted? And I brought 6 Knights of Gondor, because I think that's like the best part of the list. Besides Glorfindel, they're the best part of the list. And I changed it up this time. Normally, I bring absolutely 0 Gondor infantry. And I thought, with the points value, I wasn't going to get the 3rd hero in, which I usually try to do. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to do it up differently. I'm going to run the 2 heroes and just trying to fill up my numbers. So I brought, I believe it was 7 Spear and Shield, and then 4 Sword and Shield on foot. Then Warband 2 was Glorfindel and Asphalth, because might just be one of the best characters in the game for his value. Just very good. And then I had 6 elves with Sword and Shield, 4 with Spear and Shield, and an elf banner.
Okay, nice.
That warband, I think, is the same I play every time I play Fornost, mostly because that's all the elves I own. And it's pretty good. I mean, I have a couple more sword and spear or shield and spears, but they're not painted, so they'll get put on the list soon.
All right, and Chris, while we're talking about lists, do you want to tell us your list that you brought this weekend?
I had Radagast Alliance.
Nice.
So I was debating between that and Assault on Ravenhill, but I hadn't played this one yet, this edition. So I had Radagast on the Eagle, Bjorn by himself, and then Gwaihir with the Great Eagle and his warband. 650 on the dot.
That sounds dirty.
It sounds really good for 650.
It was.
So we can let Chris talk about his first game.
Yeah, sure thing. So the first round we were playing Lords of Battle, I think it was.
I was happy to hear that.
I was up. Oh yeah, I was pretty happy. When I saw the list I was up against, I got a little nervous. I was against Kevin with Shadows of Angmar. So he had the Shadow of Rudar with 5 Orcs, a Banner, 3 Wild Wargs, an Angmar Orc Captain with 5 Orcs, a Banner, and a Werewolf, another Captain with 5 Orcs and a Werewolf, and then 3 Barrow Wights, each with 2 with 5 Orcs, 1 with 4, and a Werewolf. So those 3 Barrow Wights I was nervous about. He had A pretty catastrophic first turn, though, and it kind of set the tone for the rest of the game. So turn one, the first one tries to paralyze Bjorn with 2 will, rolls a 1 and a 2, needing a 3+ to get it off. So that failed. Second barrel white goes for my eagle, gets a 5, but I got a 6 on its resistant. And Werewolf tried to charge Radagast, but failed its terror test on another 1 and 2. And so I put Radagast into 1 white, I put Gwahir into another, Eagle into some troops, Bjorn into some orcs in front of the 3rd white. And so Radagast and Gwahir just wiped their whites off the board, and Bjorn barged into his. And then from there, it was just picking apart the rest of the army.
Yeah, that sounds like the game pretty much.
Yeah, it was
nothing
it was
else.
a massacre. Yeah, it was 20-0. I did give Kevin my top sportsmanship vote because he took it really well for having such a terrible matchup. There was one dicey moment for me. Bjorn was trapped by 2 orcs, between 2 orcs and then a couple of my combats. I lost the fight. I could have spent 2 might to win it, but I thought, no, I'm not going to bother. He ends up rolling 3 double 6s to put 3 wounds onto Bjorn, and I spend all my fate on it. I get a 5, a 3, and a 3, and I ended up burning the 2 might anyway to save those 2 other wounds. So I could have just spent the might to begin with, but I ended up paying for it in the end. But no, it didn't. I mean, it didn't impact the outcome at the end of the game.
So clean 20-0.
It's pretty solid starts.
Very nice.
I would have been pretty worried coming into that, facing the barrel whites, just thinking you're a hero list. That's what barrel whites like to shut down. That's their whole jam.
Yep.
And then you just did what you had to do.
If that first turn had gone differently, it would have been a totally different game. But they have to get so close to paralyze that either it's getting off or I'm getting onto them. And with all monsters and flying, like I'm either charging or barging into it one way or the other. So that's the way it went.
Yeah, paralyze is obviously a very good spell. Should probably be on a 4-up. But if you have fly, right, it's whoever is winning priority, because you fly 12 and you cast 12. So that's one way to counter paralyze, is have something with fly or something that can jump over lines, which is basically just fly. But the thing is with cavalry, like when you're bringing a hero on a horse, you get the first turn, maybe you don't get it off, but then you get another turn after that because they got to punch through your line to get back there.
Yeah,
that's when it's really powerful. But
they only cast at 6, so they've got to be right up in my face.
Sorry, yeah, it's only 6. Yeah, so you got to be super close. Sorry.
Yeah, that's a risk.
Yeah, but anyway, what I said still stands.
Yeah.
But yes, you got to be super close, and yeah, the fly is one way to get around paralyze. Okay, nice, Chris. So you got a 20-0. You got your 2 wins in a row there.
Yep. And that was what I came for. So at that point, I was happy.
You already had a big W. You're already ready for the day.
Yeah.
Like he completed a square on the challenge. That's all it was all about.
That's what it's all about.
So my game 1, again, obviously, Lords of Battle. I played Brian, new opponent for me, really nice guy. He had brought Thranduil's Hall. And if anyone keen-eyed listeners will know, Thranduil's Hall is usually the bane of my existence. I just can't beat them. The bows just absolutely shred me. Lords of Battle, not so bad, I can start right up at the center line, which I did. And fortunately for me, Brian also deployed right off the center line. So like turn 1, we were engaged in combat. I won priority. And I'm going to say this now. I won every priority dice. And I'm not like lying about, I literally won every single one. I did not miss this first game, which was perfect because I didn't have to use might for heroic moves. I kept getting my charges off with my knights, which matched fight value with his elves, which was huge. I deployed my Glorfindel warband in the very center, and I had Aenor's off to the side, where I had basically my Gondor and Elf battle lines would be right beside each other, and my knights were just the plan was to try and hammer his flank and sneak around. I charged his front line with my knights on his left flank, which was a Legolas warband. And then my other lines, I just kind of collapsed. He had Thranduil behind his battle line with 2 Mirkwood knights. And there was only one gap he could have used to tried to get Thranduil around into the combat. And I'd used some guys to try and block his knights in, which then blocked Thranduil. Which, fortunately for me, he ended up staying. Thranduil didn't end up getting into any combats that game, just because of the way the battle lines formed. He couldn't sneak through, which was very lucky. First turn of combat, Aenor charges the front line. Dude, Legolas has a big enough gap that he sneaks through into the same combat. And during the shoot phase, he takes his 3 shots into Aenor. He does 2 wounds. I then failed my fate dice. So I'm thinking, this is very, very bad for me. My leader is about to die in the first turn of combat. This is not good. I also then win the fight and then kill Legolas in the first combat.
All right.
Charging with Lance, super useful when your opponent doesn't have high defense. So Legolas went down. I was like, this got very fortunate for me. Aenor now has a chance, especially because Thranduil was far enough away and on the other side of a piece of wooden terrain. So it's like I couldn't actually charge him, so I was able to just keep powering through and destroying what was left of Legolas's warband with my knights, which felt really good. And then basically, Glorfindel, I had charge the middle of... He was like in between my 2 battle lines, just chopping right through the middle. It was a really quick game. Lords of Battle can be when you both start right at the front. I think the wound tally ended up being 21-9 in favor of me. And I ended up winning the game 12-1. Killed the leader. I broke him without breaking. And I doubled my wound tally points while he got a point for wounding my general. Almost killing my general. Very lucky that it wasn't a 3rd bow shot that got through, or else it would have been really bad for me.
Game could have gone a lot differently, but you eked out the victory. Well, you didn't really. Well, you eked it out by not losing Aenor.
If that had gone differently, I think the whole game shifts.
Yeah, you're in some trouble there.
Him surviving and taking out Legolas immediately was huge for my army. And then having Thranduil blocked off and not being able to get into combat. So I had my 2 absolute combat beasts doing whatever they want, and it really helps. It was a fortunate game. I have to say that.
They're both kind of on par with Thranduil too. Like having 2 big hitters like that is one that's a pretty strong point in your favor.
Yeah.
Definitely. So first game, you're both 1-1.
Yeah. Which I was quite happy for. I was like, I'm hoping to win 1 game because I figured as the day goes on, my mental state's going to get worse and worse.
Nah, your goal was 3-1. Okay, you need points for our team. Okay, moving on. Game number 2. Chris, what happened and who did you face game number 2?
Yeah, it's a game 2 with Stake a Claim. I was playing against Justin, who I think he's relatively new to the scene, at least. I think the game 2 I know he's been playing a lot online with John Park, so getting a lot of reps in. So he was playing the Bjornings. He had both heroes, Bjorn and Grimbjorn, with 6 Bjornings each and 1 great bow in each warband. And I was really psyched out by the 2 bears this game. Like really fixated on the fact that they're kind of on the same level as my monsters or better, and they both have strike. So I misplayed early on. I left Bjorn on the back objective, transformed him, but just kind of sat there for a turn, so he wasn't up in the fight, and then sent my 3 monsters that can't strike up to go after the bears. And by the time I realized what I'd done wrong, Radagast was off his eagle and on the floor, and he was probably dead the next turn. My regular eagle got wounded by a bow shot. Here was just trading heroic defenses for Bjorn's strikes. And so Justin played it better than me. He had the numbers to spread out on objectives too, so he was often getting them at least contested, but often uncontested. And it ended in a really well-deserved 20-0 win for him. Like he outplayed me. I think if I were to go back and replay it, I'd probably either send Radagast and here after Grimbjorn while I put my Bjorn on his, or just mass all of my monsters onto Grimbjorn first, take him down, and then go after Bjorn after that. Even then, though, he's got the numbers to spread out in an objective match, and I don't really. And that Great Eagle, when he's isolated on his own, isn't really as effective as the monster heroes. I think I need the heroes to take down his heroes anyway. So I might have lost anyways on points. But yeah, it was 20-0 first round and then 0-20 second round.
So you're neutral.
Yeah, exactly. It all comes out in the wash.
So Zach, stake
kind
a
of
claim.
Funny. You just went from one right to the other extremes of the scoring.
Happens sometimes.
That's for sure.
So Zach, stake a claim.
Stake a claim. I came across Scott. He had a bunch of usurpers. It was Freka, no wolf, so Freka, Thorn, and three chieftains, I believe. This was going to be a tough match for me, just scenario wise. Trying to get the fortification points, it was going to be tough because he can just put pressure on more objectives than I can. He had 2 Crebanes, so I got to worry about that threat. Basically, I left one knight on my back objective, figuring if I need to, he can get somewhere else quicker if I need to push him up. Then I had most of my main force pushing up between the middle objective and the far left one, while I'd sent another knight and 3, I believe it was like a sword, 2 swords and a spear, to try and put at least some pressure on the far right objective. Maybe not give them the full victory points if I could. And then I mostly used my main force to try and bog up the center objective. And then the goal was to use Aenor and Glorfindel to punch through the left side. And then I was hopefully going to be able to handle those guys quickly and then flank around behind and put pressure on his back objective and just his back line on the center. I was like, that's going to be my best chance, just numbers wise. I'm going to have to use a lot of heroic combats here, I think, just to try and chew through some numbers. He doesn't have anything exceedingly strong that I have to worry about. It was just the sheer amount of models. Unfortunately, they just didn't go as quickly as I'd hoped. And the game, we did go to dice down. I ended up losing 6-0 just because he had more fortification points than me. Didn't double. It was 25-17 on fortification points. So still pretty close. If the game comes to a natural conclusion, it's probably still a wash on my part. Like, I probably still lose. Just trying to get to that numbers. At the end of the game, I had 1 might left with Aenor, which wasn't really going to end up probably getting me through enough guys. But at the same time, I wouldn't fear any of his characters unless just getting outnumbered and having a bad dice roll. It was just, that was the only victory points were scored. Neither of us touched each other's leader. Neither of us broke. Like, he just did not kill a lot of my guys, I think, which was shocking, but also not. He just kept pushing me back further and further from the center objective. And I killed a lot of his guys, but I think at the end of the game, I was 5 from breaking him. So we didn't get to any combats. Maybe at the end of that turn, maybe I could have broken him. still wouldn't have got to the 6 points that I lost on fortifications. But it was a good game. It was close. It was just a tough matchup scenario wise. I don't know if there was much I could have done to change it. I was quite happy with how close it was.
Nice. So you're 1-1.
1-1, yeah.
And Chris, you're also 1-1.
Yeah, he just had the 2 Crebain in there. He didn't have Wool.
Yeah.
I'm really, I don't know Scott very well, but I know him by reputation. He's a really good player, and he's played a lot of usurpers. But no, it's really impressive how well he did with basically just a bunch of hill tribesmen, no big hitter, no Crebain spam, nothing like that. I wouldn't have expected that looking at the list going in.
I think it's
Model
just
spam
numbers.
is still good.
Right now, just having lots of models, it's so forgiving. It's hard to break when you have 53 models. Yeah, you can play objective scenarios really well. Like a stake the claim, you could put he was able to put pressure on all 3 middle objectives, which I really couldn't do.
Yeah,
and then he was attacking my back line with a Krebe, so I had to send actually some infantry guys back to help out my knight. So he wasn't the only guy, and then he would just get that objective as well. So it was just a lot of he was able to put pressure where I really couldn't. It helps, and I imagine lots of other scenarios that can play the same. More dice usually equals good.
Usually. Okay, so game number 3. What scenario did we get? Game number 3.
Yeah, so game
Treasure
3,
Hoard.
we had Treasure Hoard.
Treasure Hoard.
Yeah, so I was up against Preston with the Assault on Ravenhill. So Thorin, Dwalin, Fili, Killy, Legolas, Tariel, and Bilbo. And it was a strong start. I grabbed my 3 objectives turn 1 with Bjorn, Gwaihir, and the Eagle, and Preston got his middle one with Bilbo. Turn 2, I moved Gwaihir and the Eagle up the sides and grabbed another objective each. And then from then, it was just moving in, wrapping around him, and picking off his heroes one by one. And, he came in with 21 might to my 9, but he was often spending 2 or 3 might for every one that I spent. And so it didn't feel like it was that lopsided. And then the monsters can just get so much mobility and free themselves up with the barge. Like at one point he called a strike with Keely, Tariel, and Thorin, and a strength with Dwalin and Fili in the same turn. I struck with Bjorn against Tariel and Dwalin. I called a combat with Gwaihir against Killy. I failed the combat, but Bjorn got fight 10, won his fight, barged Tariel and Dwalin away, and then flash killed Thorin. And from then it was just moving around, picking off the heroes one by one. So I got Legolas, then Tariel, then Dwalin, then Bilbo, and finally Killy. And Fili survived in the end, pinned in between Radagast and the Great Eagle on one side of the board. But I ended up with all the objectives, and the only thing I missed was having a model in his back 12 inches. He did wound Radagast. I renewed it, but he still got the 1 point for that, but it was 18-1 for me.
Nice.
Yeah. And it was a really, really beautifully painted army, too, as usual. He was using the classic Thorns Company dwarves and Bilbo. I've painted those models, and I find like the detail isn't very crisp on them, but he made it look really crisp. He made them look like really, really nice models. So really, it was fun to play against.
Preston, another Rutherford, another great hobbyist in the OSBGL.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, Zach, you got a quick recap for game 3?
Quick recap, Treasure Hoard, super fun scenario. I played Mike Underhill. So that was fun. I haven't got to play a match against him yet, and I was looking forward to it. He was playing, I believe it's Defenders of Erebor. It's the one where you get every hero gets March, and you can march into combat. Whichever list that one is. He had Dane, Thorin, and Dwalin. So I was like, okay, three big hitters. That's gonna be tough. And then I guess 20 dwarves. I think it was 23 model count he had. Did have So it was like, okay, going to be interesting. I was able to get my objective with Glorfindel, got the one on the left side. I had some guys pick up the one on the right, and then I had some guy pick it up on the middle objective. And when that happened, I kept Glorfindel going up the left side with some knights, putting pressure on a group of dwarves that did not have a hero with them. He kept all three of his heroes in the middle, pushing up with the middle objective. So I was like, okay, perfect. I'll attack the left side and hopefully get this guy killed before he can get away with that objective. And I did a heroic combat from one guy into the guy with the objective. So then the next turn, I was able to scoop it up with Glorfindel, and then he would have 2 objectives on him, 2 artifacts, which was really solid. My 2 objectives, I basically, on the other 2, I had them abandon my battle line completely and run behind a giant boulder on the right side, where I was like, I'm just going to keep them there, and they can outrun dwarves if I need to. But as of right now, that's just a good safe place for them. I earlier put some other 2 knights around there to try and flank. And I don't know if it was 1, maybe 2 turns. I completely forgot about them. It wasn't until I actually got the 2 objective carriers to the rock, and I looked there and I was like, oh, I got 2 knights there? Like, oh man. Whoops. I was like wondering where those guys got to.
There's a reason why we call our team Worst Case Ontario.
You just lose things behind tall pieces of scenery. And then I had Aenor crash up the right side of the flank and put pressure on another one of his other dwarves with the objective. And we did a little bit of back and forth fighting there. He had his 3 heroes in the middle, just like doing some pretty heavy work. I mean, they're really strong heroes, but they also had some real botched fights. And I believe it was like 1 or 2 turns in a row. I had like 2 fights I won against Thorin and was able to take some wounds off him. I believe there's also a failed fate test somewhere in there. It was fortunate for me. I also had a really good turn where we did he called a heroic combat with Thorin, which was going to be able to put him in prime position to charge Aenor, which I didn't really like because I was at that point out of might with him. And then he also called a heroic combat with Dane, and I was like, oh, he might be able to like double tap into Aenor with these 2 guys. So I heroic combated with Glorfindel's last might, and I was like just gonna be in range to reach Thorin. I lost the roll off for the heroic combat and chose to do Dane first, which was lucky for me because he needed the Thorin, I guess, to go first to be able to clear the way for Dane if he wanted going into Aenor, and he just charged someone else. So I was like, that's fine. I can lose another dude. And then I was able to tag up Thorin and not let him get into Aenor. And I ended up winning that game 15-5. I had 4 objectives at the end. I just couldn't get that last dwarf. Thorin was on 1 wound left with his objective. I was probably another turn away. I probably could have got that one. But game ended. We rolled the 2 for, that's the roll for 1 and 2 and the game ends, or is that just quartering?
I think a quarter.
No, quartering. So I must have quartered them. I didn't break. I was 1 model away from being broken, which was rather fortunate for my overall score. I wounded his general, and then I did have 3 models within the 12 inches of his board edge for the extra 2 VPs. I kept some knights back there. It would have been nice to get them into the combats, but it was so compact, their bases were a bit tougher. I thought I'll just try and score the extra 2 VPs because I felt confident with the general. Like, generally, the game was feeling good.
Nice.
So
right.
I won that game, 15-5. It was a really fun game. We had a lot of laughs. I also note, the first few turns, I was drawing lots of 6s for various things. and Mike decided to keep track, and I rolled 53 sixes in that game through various priorities, combats to win and to kill, which you need lots of sixes to kill Warriors of Erebor. Iron Hills Dwarves,
That's pretty impressive that you rolled 53 sixes.
Yeah, I'd be curious how much, like, an average game, like, how many sixes somebody throws, because it did feel like I was on the upper levels of throwing more sixes than I should have.
Well, according to Will, your dice don't matter at all, so it doesn't matter. Game number 4. Chris.
Shout out both our round 3 opponents too, because they were 2 of a 4-way tie for best sportsmanship.
That is true.
Yeah.
And you both gave them a beating.
Yeah.
Not as much as Chris gave Preston.
No. Yeah. That was rough. Didn't feel good.
That's just a tough matchup.
Yeah, it is. And I've played Assault on Ravenhill. I think the last tournament I was out to at Critical Hit, it was a little less than a year ago. That was when I first met John Young. He was just into the scene less than a year ago, and now he's running his first tournament.
Yeah.
But I ran Assault on Ravenhill. It was a very similar experience. There's limits to what you can do with 7 heroes, where 5 of them move less than 6 inches.
Treasure Hoard in particular, when you have fly and like 12-inch movement all over the place, where you could just grab your objective so quickly and then put pressure on his immediately. It's definitely helpful.
Well, and having 4 up intelligence on the Eagle and Gwaihir, 6 up on Bjorn was really reliable too, especially in this next match. That really, it wasn't a challenge to get them out of the ground. So
yeah.
But
That's
yeah,
fair.
the final round was lead from the front. I played against Jan. He had Minas Morgul, so he had the Witch King with the Fell Beast and the Morgul Blade, 8 Morannons, 8 Mordor Orcs, Banner and a Spectre. Mordor Orc Captain, 2 Morannons, 9 Mordor Orcs, and a Spectre. Kardouche with 8 Mordor Orcs, and then a Drummer. So I gave first priority to Jan. He drummed up the board, and then I did a hit and run on the Witch King with a Panic Steed. He spent, I think, 3 will on that to resist it, so chipping him down over time from the start. And then I just sort of moved up with Bjorn and the Eagles. Turn 2, he drums again. He hits Radagast with a Flame Burst and a Black Dart. I didn't resist either of them. I just threw the Eagles 1 resistant to magic die at them and failed both. So I ended up taking a wound on Radagast and a wound on the Eagle, but I wasn't too worried about that. I threw another Panic Steed at him. He shrugged it off, and then I charged Radagast right into the Witch King. Gwaihir, I put him into a pair of orcs about halfway between him and the Witch King, behind his line. And then Bjorn just went into the battle line, and the Eagle held back. So we get to the combat phase. I call a heroic combat with Gwaihir, and Jan sees, he's pretty close to the Witch King, so he calls it strike. I ended up succeeding at my combat, but I spent a second might to do that to kill 2 orcs, which was great. But then I charged Gwaihir into the Witch King to tag team with Radagast. Jan got a 1 on his strike, so he only went up to fight 7 to my 8. And then with the Eagles... Yeah, with the Eagles +1 strength on the charge, I get that tick up on him to get monstrous charge off and knock him off the Fell Beast when I won the fight. And so I had 8 doubled strikes going into the Witch King and just tore apart. So turn 2, the Witch King's gone. I did have to spend Gwaihir's last might on it. And so for both this scenario and Lords of Battle, both have Time of Heroes. And I said to both of my opponents, I'm going to forget about this. And I did both times. So I could have got a might back on Gwaihir. It didn't end up mattering, but we realized right at the end of the game when we're looking through the scores, like, well, whatever. So yeah, they killed the Witch King. The next turn, he surrounded Radagast and pulled him off his Eagle and killed him. So that was revenge for his Witch King. But then from then on, it was a question of picking off heroes. I used a lot of barges. I really got to see how powerful that was this game, because I lost a lot of priorities. And so his orcs auto pass terror tests when they're near the specters. So he'd just tag off my heroes, and then I'd barge off, and like I'd win the fights, and I've got 3 strikes. I thought, well, I could kill 1 or 2 orcs, or I could barge into a couple more, get the 4 dice, and have a better chance of killing. Did that just over and over on him. So in the end, Radagast and my regular eagle died. Bjorn and Gwaihir survived till the end. So they killed all his other heroes except a captain in the back. He had 1 banner. I probably would have run off the board after he broke, but I chased it down with Bjorn and killed it just to be safe. And then I held 1 objective in the middle. So we ended up reporting the score 9-5 by mistake. We counted it out as 12-5 on the board, and we said, okay, that's 12-5, and then talked about something else, and then came back and said, oh yeah, it's 9-5, right? So, and then we both put that in. It didn't matter in the end for my placement, those 3 points, but it was on the drive home. I thought, you know what? I think I missed a few there. But yeah, 12-5 win to me, but 9-5 actually was what we reported.
So big 3-1 win for Crit. Just at the end of the tournament.
Pretty good. Yeah.
Gotta be happy with a 3-1.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Now the question is, did Zach go 3-1?
Mm-hmm.
Let's find out.
I got to play Reed Pertelli. I also have to say, I played 4 people I've never played before at this event. I think it's the first time in quite a while where I've got to play new opponents. So that was a lot of fun. Really nice guy. I hate to say this to Mike, but it might have been my funnest game just because of how swingy it was. Like, we were playing lead from the front, which was tough because he had 3 heroes where I only have 2. He had Golden King, which is, I almost might think that the Golden King is made for lead for the front. Like, that's his best scenario.
Yeah.
Followed up with Amder. So, great combination there. And then he had a Corsair Bosa. Beginning of the game, there was like this building sort of near the one objective off to the right. And he was like, well, how do you want to play climb on the buildings? I was like, I think, yeah, as long as you got like the measurement, we could do like the climb test and you could go up there. I'd say that's fine. I got no bows in point. His Corsair bow son had quite a few crossbows. And they made a beeline for the house. I was like, maybe I can get my knights there in time. I did not get my knights there in time. Turn 1, I charged Aenor into 2 Easterling warriors. Or turn 2, I guess. I don't know. Turn 2. First round of being able to charge. He had priority, so I had second move, and I charged 2 guys. And he had, obviously, phalanx, 2 supporting each of them. And I thought, that'll be fun. That'll be fun. And I rolled a 3. He rolled a 6, obviously. Through 6 dice, you're going to probably roll a 6. He had 2 guys two-handing. So I used all 3 of my might to win the fight. Because I couldn't take... In my mind at the time, I was like, I can't risk losing Aenor immediately when this scenario you can only score with your heroes. I need to keep him alive. But what, like, will he get killed? Maybe not. Probably not. But if they do, that would be really bad for me, especially then dying and having 3 might on him when I could have avoided it. So I did that, and I was pretty worried. I think the Legolas thing in the first game also worried me a bit too, just because he was so close to death then. I was like, I can't have this happen again. So he survived, and then Glorfindel kind of was attacking the left side, beginning by himself. He just charged over. Reed had 2 camels, and I was like, I'm getting rid of those impact hits. Like, I don't want to deal with this. Have an impact hit accidentally kill, like, Asphalloth or something. So I spent a couple turns killing those guys, and then I sent some other elves to help fight There was a Brackens matched up with some spears and the Golden King, which was just a mess. Like, I won fight against him, which again, what does it matter? He spends a will point, nothing happens, and then he goes back to winning fights with him and just killing everything. Amder then almost gets Aenor. He gets in combat with him, deals 2 wounds, I believe. Another, let's see here. Oh, I passed a fate, so I only had 2 wounds left on Aenor. No might. I'm like, this is really rough because Amder only needs 5+ to wound a hero. And he's got his might to strike. It's going to be a tough one. But then he ends up burning through his might too, because he had to call a priority. So he used a heroic move there, which I couldn't combat. There was very early in the game, there was 0 might left on the board. Amder had burned his, Aenor obviously burned a turn of 1. I used a couple of heroic combats with Glorfindel to try and take out the camels, and then one was to flank around and try kill some Hrad spears, I think. And then he used some might with the Golden King. I guess the bosun had a might, but he was on this building where I had 3 Minas Tirith warriors just climbed up and were duking it out with him and the rest of his guys. Literally, I don't think anything exciting happened there. Maybe I killed 1 crossbow and he killed 1 Minas Tirith warrior. It was just kind of funny playing on top of a rooftop. Like, he climbed up there and then I chased down and climbed up after him. It was kind of fun, but didn't have anything to do with the game. But I was able to sort of block Amder out, and that's something like from getting at Aenor, because I was like, I just can't risk this. And then because he's got the Elven Blade, so I was like, your odds of winning the roll off are better than me. I can't risk losing my leader when this is clearly going to be such a close game. That he kills Glorfindel with the Golden King. And I was like, okay, this is over then. Like, I'm done. And then I kill Amder with Aenor, because I end up having at that point, I'd killed most of the rest of his Easterling warband. Maybe there's a few stragglers that I tied up. So I got Amder surrounded by Aenor, a couple knights, and 1 guy on foot. So I don't get the extra attacks. I still get the lance bonus, which is huge. And I was able to take Amder off the table with rolling. He didn't roll a 6, so I was very thankful there. And then the game ended. We each had 1 objective. Aenor had the middle. Golden King had the left. His bosun wasn't able to get off the building for the 3rd objective. So thankful for the 3 guys I threw up there just to try and tie everything up and not die. But we both broke. I believe he just broke me that last turn too, so it was really close. And he wounded Aenor, and I didn't get to wound the Golden King because I didn't have enough time to get through 6 will, and I had no shooting to try and get a cheeky bow shot in. So I ended up losing 6-5. Really, really close match, really tight. It was like sweating. Like, 1 turn, I'd be like so swingy. I'd be like, I'm sitting really good right now, and then something would happen. Like when Glorfindel died, it was like, oh, things are like really bad for me. And then I killed Amder, and I was like, maybe things aren't so bad. It was tight. It was a close game. A lot of fun.
All right,
so I ended up 2-2.
You ended up 2-2. Still not bad, especially considering you literally got off a train, drove home, and then drove right to the event.
Yeah.
Pretty nice. All right. And yeah. Zach, your final place was 9th, I believe?
Yeah, I think that sounds about right. 9th.
And Chris, you got 2nd place.
In 2nd place, I was shocked.
He
when
was
you go
shocked.
3-1, things can happen.
Well, he was actually shocked because John announced first place, which we will should say also Kyle Vandegraff won. He was the only one to go 4-0. Played last Alliance. A really good player. Did just like a stand-up job. So shout out to him as well. But second place, John goes in second place, Chris Weens. And he's just like over at his Mike models, I guess, putting them away or something. And he just turns and goes, "What?" Like, it hadn't looked at the standings, had no idea how close he was to the top.
Well,
was just totally thrown off.
At the end of the last match, I mean, Jan had been going through the standings. And he said, "Oh, you're at the top." I said, "Well, I think we're the first ones who submitted our match. Nobody else has 4 matches in. Of course, I'm at the top." And he's like, "No, like you're doing really well. Like, I think you're gonna be first or second." So, shout out to Jan. He called that. I didn't believe him.
We had a 20-0 win and an 18-1 win. That's like huge.
2 big wins.
I'm not used to results like that. I'm happy to just come out and get games in. I only really get the chance to play at tournaments. So I wasn't going into it assuming it'd be competitive. And in hindsight, of course, Radagast Alliance is competitive. It's the Eagles, but with a wizard and a bear. But the last time I had played them was last edition at Canadian Shire, and they've kind of all gone up a peg since then. But I was still thinking, oh yeah, it was a fun list, and I didn't do very well, and I've already got it all painted, so why didn't I just bring it out? But it really dominated, and really there's so much that gets out of your way when everything that you have is fight 7 up, strength 7 or 8, 3+ attacks, 3 wounds, D8, 3 might, 3 fate. It kind of removes a lot of the barriers that you often run into. And I think I played it well. But also Kevin really had a catastrophic first turn against me in the first match, and that spiraled into that 20-0 win. And as much as I love Assault on Ravenhill, they were outclassed by those 4 heroes, or those 3 heroes and the bird. So I had pretty favorable matchmaking too, and some dice rolls that went in my favor. But I feel like I learned a lot about playing monsters too, and had a lot of fun. Yeah.
I was so stoked when he said that you got second place. I was like, that's awesome.
Yeah, I was really
that's not the only achievement you got.
That's right. Why don't you tell us what else you won, Chris? Okay, or you can tell us, Zach.
My bad.
Oh yeah, I came away with the best painted, and I'm pretty stoked about that too. Yeah. That's again, I didn't go into it as a competitive painter, but no, it was just really humbling and validating to see that. And I think it played to my favor too that I had 2 armies there, because Will was playing my Goblin Town. So I don't know how much that played into it, but I am really happy with my Goblin Town paint jobs. I have the Goblin King here, and they're really gross and layered on contrast paints, and I did all their eyes black with white tips in them rather than whites with a black pupil in them, it's in the dark and they're shining. And so I don't know, that felt pretty good to get that. Yeah, no, really happy with the result, and I came away with a sweet prize of the Golem. So that'll be a fun kit to build up and paint up next.
Not just Shelob and Gollum, Frodo in Spiderweb as well.
And Frodo in the Spiderweb as well. Yeah.
A legal model that you can play with as Frodo.
And speaking of that Goblin Town list, Will, in spite of illness and almost not being there, he placed 5th with Goblin Town, a list that I don't think people have been looking at very favorably, but he did really well with that list. Especially, I think that was his first time playing it.
Yes.
Yeah. So I've got to get that on the table for myself now.
Yeah, I think the big problem.
No, go ahead, Zach.
I was just going to say, I think the big problem with Goblin Town is they needed something changed, because last edition you could just get so many of them. They were really good. That the easy thing was they just need to cost 1 point more. They're still really good, but I think people looked at it, for every 4 or 5 models, I'm losing one that I used to have.
Mm-hmm.
They're still really good. Like, everybody's a spear support. Will was going on about how the 2-handed weapons were amazing because he's throwing like 6 dice in every fight. Yeah, why not have a couple of 2-handed weapons? Like, your odds are just that much better. You're going to win because the sheer amount of dice will eventually win out. I didn't get to talk to him too much about the scribe or how that did, but I'm guessing the Goblin King just munched a bunch of stuff.
I overheard him calling some board-wide heroic moves a few times throughout the day. Like, that's a pretty solid rule. Yeah.
I think there's a lot of good stuff in the list.
Yeah, I think that that list is underestimated a little bit. It's maybe not top tier, but I think it's definitely playable, and in a good player's hand, like Will is a good player. He can pull at a great result like a 5th, which is good for our team.
Too good for his own good.
Yeah, we got to step up our shame point lists. We gave Zach a genuinely fun and good list to play.
You gave me a list I wish I could just pay and paint myself.
Yeah, like, that was bad.
That was not a punishment.
No, we were too nice. And with this Goblin Town
the all-hero one would have been a punishment because of just the rules.
Yeah. For those of you who didn't follow along, I think, Chris, you came up with the list, right? And it was just every single Hobbit hero. And that would have been mean because you're just reading special rules all day long. Even worse than like Assault on Ravenhill or playing against Thorn's Company or something like that.
Well, I did take that list or a version of it to my first tournament this edition. It was when we had just the armies of the Lord of the Rings, just the heroes in there, and it works out to 500 points. And I won one game with it. I beat Minas Morgul. Because it's actually harder to wound hobbits on courage than it is on defense.
That's true.
I guess that's true. Like the one matchup it actually works out. Because like that first edition book too, you're missing all the good heroes, like all the fun ones. Like you're stuck with what, Old Bilbo, Farmer Maggot, the 4 hobbits, and like Lobelia.
You've got Lobelia, you've got Rosie, you've got Gandalf with the cart. You know, you can shoot the big one at the Witch King and knock him off his fell beast. And
yeah, that's true too. That's gross.
So a good finish from all 3 of you, including Will.
Oh, we didn't read my last game opponent. He ended up coming 3rd as well. We forgot to mention that. So podium was Kyle, Chris got 2nd, and then Reed ended up getting 3rd place. So shout out to him as well. Congrats on the fun game and getting 3rd.
Kyle, we've had Kyle on the podcast, I think like episode 2 or something like that.
Yeah.
But Kyle, obviously, big, what am I trying to say? He's big in the league.
Winner.
He finishes well at a lot of events that he comes to.
Good competitor. He knows what
he's doing. Yeah. We saw him on Friday night hanging out at Torchlight when we were recording a battle report that's going to come out next Saturday. So keep your eyes on YouTube for that. We tried filming a new style that really sped up games. So it's quite quick. And also combined with the fact that it was an awful game. It was brutal. I'm putting it out there, though. You can see either Jacob or I get completely stomped. So it's going to be extremely quick battle report. But it's going out. I don't care. But let us know what you think of the new sort of style of filming if you bothered to comment on that. I'll be interested to hear. It was definitely faster to edit and a lot less fluff. So look up for that. We have our second narrative battle report up. Loney's adventure continues. Find out how he does in basically hold ground against a respawning horde of goblins. Actually, a super tight game. So check out that. Jacob and I are going to be filming, I think on Tuesday, 2 more. This is going to come out on Wednesday, though. So yesterday, I guess, if you're watching this, we're going to be filming 2 more games on my Moria display board, I think. That's the plan. So that should be really cool. Even if you're not to narrative games, you got to love seeing cool boards, models played on cool boards, right? We're not just all here for competitive games, surely. Right? I don't know. Someone's going to be mad at comments. I don't care. Watch it. Watch our battle reports. While you're at it, leave a comment, like, and subscribe. Lastly, we have 2 more tournaments in March. A tournament every week in March, which love to see.
I didn't think there was one next weekend.
There is. It is the Kitchener-Waterloo Slow Grow happening in Kitchener.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It is also a premier hobby event. I'm going to try and throw together a display board. We'll see if that happens. I'm not going to bring my Moria one. I feel kind of greasy bringing that, even though I already got first place with it last season, so I'm going to not do that.
The shamelessness of you is unbelievable sometimes.
It's not shameless, okay? I'm respecting my fellow competitors, by not bringing it. So check out that if you are in the Kitchener-Waterloo area and you want to join a slow grow. Make sure you message Derek Satnick, get going on that, get some models painted, good motivation. After that, a very cool event happening March 28th in Brantford, another event outside the GTA. That is at the Hellenic Community Center in Brantford, being hosted by our very own friends over at Ancient Enemies, Jeremy and Ben. It is called Today's a Good Day. It is a tournament with custom banners. You can bring a custom banner that they've laid out. There's also, I think, voting for best banner conversion as well, which would be kind of cool. That event hosted, it's at this big hall, basically. It can hold pretty much, if everyone from the community came, we could probably host an event there. So it's huge. Come out. If we get a good number of people there, we'll run it again, and it can be a huge event every year. So please consider coming out to that. It's in Brantford. We're going to try and reserve a place for dinner after so that we can all hang out for a little bit after, maybe. Excuse me, still getting over this cough. Have some food, grab a pint, and then you can drive home or stay somewhere. I don't know, whatever. Come to that. After that, I'm hosting another tournament in April, sometime in April 18th, I believe, at Tista Minis in Hamilton. Another event outside the GTA. Come to that as well. It's a 90-point event. There's a little sort of side thing for a couple bonus TPs, nothing major. Those sell it really quick because Tista Minis can only host 16 players. Did I miss anything?
Not that I can think of. I forgot about the slow grow one even, but I don't think so. I think you nailed them all. Which the next one you're thinking you're going to be attending then, Andrew?
I'm pretty committed to going to Kitchener-Waterloo because it's just 40 minutes down the road on the 401.
Only 20 minutes less than Curtis was. Interesting.
Yep, I don't have to drive through Toronto to do it.
Yeah, but then you don't get to flash the beams at people, and you love flashing the beams.
I don't like doing it, but I will do it.
Just needs to be done.
It's just something's got to be done.
Wow. So what's the Batman quote? It's you're not the hero we need, but the hero we deserve, or something.
Some people just got to know not to do 90 in the fast lane. Sorry, the passing lane. Get out of the passing lane if you're not passing. Anyway, let's move on. I'm going to that.
And you want to get into a discussion about driving?
No. Will's going to be so mad if I do that. No, you're baiting me right now. Yeah, I know that, but he's going to watch. You're baiting me right now. Come to the Brantford tournament. I'm going to be there helping out run it. Mostly the Ancient Enemy guys have been doing that.
Oh, so don't be trying to take credit here, man.
I mean, I got the venue.
That's fine.
Without the venue, we couldn't host it. I'm not taking credit. Anytime I say anything, Andrew, shameless, get out of here. Get out of here. That's enough out of you. Any last comments before we wrap this up?
Yeah, no, that's good. It was a good day. It was really fun. Once again, thanks, John, for running it, stepping up, being a TO. Not that nowadays it seems like we're struggling for TOs. Lots of people are doing it, which is great to see. Just having so many more events. Like the end of last season, not the end, but the last season, it felt like there was one a month and maybe two, and you were just like, yeah, hopefully you could get to it. Now you got actual choice, which it's great to see. thanks for all the people that commit to driving the far distances to making it. Yeah, no. Just the people showing up making the events what they are.
I'm cutting you off. You're rambling.
Perfect. Thanks.
You stepped over. You stepped over Chris's awesome outro. I'm going to try it one more time. He's going to cue it up here because he's on the ball. Any last comments?
Paint your models.
Paint your models.
Paint your models.